Hey class, today's lesson is going to be about scarcity, resources, and choices. This is the very first standard in the Georgia State Standards for Social Studies, Economics, and the fundamentals of economics. Today's student learning objectives: in this lesson, students will be able to define economics and identify practical uses for it. 2. Discern the difference between wants and needs. 3. Define scarcity as the basic condition where unlimited wants and needs are greater than available productive resources. And 4. Define and give examples of productive resources. The first question: what is economics? Before we get into scarcity, we must understand what economics is. Economics is the study of people, businesses, and governments and why they make the decisions that they make. For example, why does a student choose to go to class instead of skip? Or why does a high school graduate choose to go to college? They could choose to work a job, and if they do, why would they choose to work that job instead of going to college, or going to college later, or even going to college part-time? Another example: why would a company train its employees? What would be the actual purpose of doing so? And the final example that we have on the screen: why would a country or a president place a tariff on a certain good? It's very important that you understand the big question. It's really one word. When it comes to economics, why? Now, the first thing that you have to understand is that all human beings have basic needs and wants. Needs are defined as things that are necessary for individuals to be able to live. I want you to pause the video and answer the question, what are some examples of needs on your paper? All right, good. We're going to talk about some of these momentarily as a class. We're going to move on to wants. Wants are things that individuals would like to have, but these things are not an absolute necessity. I want you to pause the video and write down several examples of some wants on your paper. Okay, good. Now, it's very important that you understand that all humans require the use of resources for survival. We've been given many of these resources already here on our earth. We're going to get into classifications, but it's very important that you understand all human beings are greedy by nature, and we all have more wants and needs than what are physically available. Okay, because of this, scarcity is what rules our world. It's the biggest problem that our world faces. Since people have unlimited wants and needs, meaning the things that we want and need will forever increase due to that greedy nature we just talked about, the world has very limited productive resources. Because of this condition, then these productive resources are scarce. Anything that can run out is scarce. For example, money, water, land, oxygen, animals, right? And in the event that any of these things run out, there's a great chance that our lifespan will become shortened at a great length and a great amount. Scarcity is the biggest problem that affects our world, and it greatly affects the entire world. No matter where you are, no matter what country you're in, you could be in a place that isn't a country. Scarcity is going to affect you and all the people around you. There is no way to avoid this problem. Because of the problem of scarcity, all people are tasked with choices about how to use the things that we have. The things that we have are known as productive resources. There are 4 classifications for productive resources. The first classification are natural resources. This is generally considered the land. Okay? Natural resources are anything that exists here before we ever came along. It naturally exists, or it naturally occurs. If you could think of a water spring or a desert, right, or the ground that your house or this school has been built upon, those are natural resources. We move on to human resources. This is labor and human capital. You as a worker are part of human resources. For example, when you graduate high school or college and enter into the workforce, you are going to offer up yourself as a resource. The company can then come and get your resource, but they can't get it for free. Instead, you are going to exchange your resource and your work, the things that you're willing to do, in exchange for a resource that you need, such as money or a paycheck. You are considered a human resource. You are physically human. You're offering up your labor. All right. Your labor is a resource because the person is offering up the labor. This is a human resource. We move on to physical capital. Let's take Mohawk Industries, for example. Mohawk Industries manufactures flooring or carpet. In their flooring, in order to actually make their carpet, they have to use machines and equipment. This equipment is also known as physical capital. It has value, it is worth something, and it is used to manufacture things. Money is a great example of capital because you can take money, obtain the resources that you need to make something with, and now that has become an example of capital. We move on to entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the developer or owner of a business. You could have started a company from day one, or you could have inherited the company or purchased the company starting in year 2. Either way, you're going to invest your time and your money and your energy into this company in hopes that it earns a greater return than when you originally bought it. You are considered an entrepreneur. An easy way to remember these productive resources and these classifications is the acronym SELL. SELL stands for capital, entrepreneurship, land, and labor. Now, these productive resources can be found all over the world. They are unique and are all limited. And understand, in some parts of the world you may find certain productive resources, but you may not find those productive resources in other places. Instead, they have different productive resources. So we all have to work together and live in kind of a global society, and we'll have to trade our different resources to sustain the life that we have to have and the life that we need or want to have. Okay, productive resources are used by all people to achieve various goals. You use them on a daily basis. Oftentimes you just have no idea. They're also known as the factors of production. And if something happens to any one of these 4 classifications or SELL, then production will either increase or decrease. So therefore, they are going to have an impact on production, which is why we call them the factors of production. Now, you're going to work with one partner. So upon completing this video lecture, work with one partner, use the graphic organizer provided for you on Google Classroom, and identify the following. You and your partner are going to pick one thing that either of you recently purchased. If you want to do this individually, it'd be fine, but I'd prefer that you work with partners. One thing that you or your partner recently purchased. You're going to answer the question, is the item a want or a need? Number 3, what are the productive resources for that item? And I want you to list every productive resource that goes in to actually make the item and gets allows you to actually own that item today. And using SELL, you'll classify each of those productive resources. I'll give you an example in the class. What I want you to do is take this document that's on Google Classroom, and I want you to change the text electronically and use it digitally, and you'll resubmit this assignment through Google Classroom. If you don't have technology, or if you would absolutely prefer to not use a laptop, then I'll have paper copies for you, and you can do this using a paper copy or a hard copy. You'd then turn it in, submit a picture into Google Classroom. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.